Let the secrets flow. What's one secret about your job that the general population would be upset about if they found out? I'll go first. In housekeeping, we do not change out the big comforter on top. Just the sheets underneath. Enjoy your next stay. We aren't actually looking to see if we have whatever you asked for in the back. But I've come out plenty of times with stuff. I'd say it's 50-50 from my retail experience. Sometimes I'd say I'd look for something out the back I knew we 100 did not have because I wanted to stand out back and stare into space for a minute. But if I knew I'd seen it out there, I'd pull all the cages out trying to find it. Restaurant worker, if you're mean to me, I shake your food as I close it so that some of it falls to the floor and you get less. If I'm really feeling frisky, I might even throw out your dipping sauce. But myself or my coworkers would never do anything to make your food unsafe. Also a bartender, there are no free drinks. Your free drink is really just the amount of alcohol you paid for in one drink split into two because I see you consuming the alcohol at a rate that is unsafe and I'm trying to slow you down. If you're really drinking too much fast, your free drink has a bit of lime juice instead of alcohol. Tastes a lot like alcohol when it's mixed into a drink. And I put a drop of alcohol on your straw so that when you first sip it, it tastes like alcohol and you don't question it. Works every time. I love the straw trick. Someone came in early for brunch right at open, so like 10 'em. It was like I've had 6 hard seltzers already, so I joked like, don't let me hear that. He got super shitty, was making fun of me to his friends, so he earned himself Virgin Bloody Marys all morning. And he was probably carrying on like he was really pissed drunk as well after the Bloody Marys. Your parents and grandparents are miserable. The nursing home is so dystopian that it would break your suspension of disbelief if you read about it in a science fiction novel. Meeting the basic daily needs of our elders requires a combination of Herculean effort, obscene luck, and really tragic compromises. Sometimes there's only 4 people in the entire building taking care of over 100 residents for over an 8-hour period. The shareholders love it when that happens. I came here to say the same. The caretakers are not paid enough for what they do and barely have enough energy time to take care of basic needs. There's close to zero mental stimulation. I see people go downhill after coming into homes. It's so sad. It's so much worse than what we've said here. We barely scratched the surface. One of my mom's favorite aides quit because she made more money on welfare and food stamps. Poverty wages for one of the hardest jobs in the world is criminal. As an MT, this is 100 and through. The nice homes are still full of lonely grandparents that barely ever get visitors. And the bad ones, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. They're straight out of a horror movie. When I was an active medic, we arrived to local nursing home for a fall. The patient was regular old person that could talk and with an assisted device walk. They had fallen out of an elevated bed where they lay about 5 feet up. We arrived in the room to see this patient lying face prone on the floor, a small pool of blood around their mouth. Their nose was deformed from being on the floor with their face straight ahead for so long. There were 5 nurses at Kanaz standing in a circle around the patient. This nursing home has a policy that doesn't allow staff to help a fallen patient up. If they do help, they can be fired. I was a food server and was technically not allowed to touch residents ever. I broke that rule a few times helping them with things and serving them food. But where I worked, all medical staff were allowed to touch as needed for their duties. As far as I know anyway, that's nuts. But I 100 believe you. The one I worked at was very fancy and expensive, but we were understaffed and underpaid and not given the necessary resources, generally treated badly, and half the staff was honestly awful. Residential gardener here. We're definitely peeing in your yard somewhere. I've got a location at every single client's house that I use. Lol. Okay, you win for most random job secret. As long as it's not in my flower bushes, you are fine. Be away. Not sure how to tell you this. I'm over here thinking, I hope it is in the flower bushes and not the veggie garden. Pharmacist, hospital. Base. I never tell people how I catch several potentially fatal prescribing mistakes every single day at work. I don't want people to stop trusting their doctors, and they would if they saw how bad it is. Not all doctors are bad prescribers, but most are overworked and tired. Mistakes are easily made in a busy hospital. My friend is a pharmacist in a hospital and said a nurse asked for a certain amount of some liquid thing for a patient. Clearly, I know medical jargon well, but had added an extra 0 to how much she needed. My friend noticed that would be a lethal amount and double-checked to confirm it should be without the extra 0. The nurse had an oh shit moment and got the correct amount. That story terrifies me to this day, to think what would have happened if no one caught it. Oh yeah, this is a regular occurrence. I've worked in pediatrics and neonatal care, which scared the living daylights out of me. checked every calculation a billion times. Most adults can handle an accidental extra zero of most drugs. Premature babies definitely cannot. My aunt had a friend in nursing school that did not catch a mistake. Whether it was her fault or not, I can't quite remember. But she mixed up 2 syringes. One had saline, the other had potassium. Instead of using the saline, she accidentally cleared the IV line with potassium, which was supposed to go into the IV bag, and the patient was dead in minutes. I don't think she ever finished nursing school. Christ, this is why I'm not a nurse. I used to work in horticulture and I was a genocidal maniac there. As a server, I have a lot of things I could share, but since this is a space for women, we are absolutely reading into the vibes at your table. We can usually tell if it's a new date, relationship, marriage, etc. Personally, I've picked up on problematic couples many a time. Girlies, if you're ever feeling unsafe or need a way out, you find a female restaurant employee, we will do everything we can to help you. A few weeks ago, one of our regulars showed quite a lot of interest in a woman who was having lunch with her dog. He bought her wine and everything to the point that it looked like he was trying to get her drunk. When the dude went outside to smoke, I practically ran to the table to let her know that I'm here if she needs anything, and if she's uncomfortable to just send a sign and I'd come to the rescue. Later, when she went to the register in the back to pay, I suddenly heard a yell. Turns out she was just trying to pay for herself instead of him paying for her, and he accidentally snuck up on her from behind with his card and paid for her. But that yell freaked me and the customer I was helping out. The woman was very appreciative, though, that I was looking out for her. I work for a medical insurance company. We get complaints that the hold time is too long. The problem is that everyone calls in the morning. The depth. I'm in has 40 reps that have 600 calls coming in the first 4 hours. Then the rest of the day, we are sitting around waiting for a few calls. The reps get off work each hour, and the last hour has only 10 reps. But we just sit there and talk to each other. Yes, my boomer mom was dreading calling in customer service for something, and she says, "Woof, I've got to do this first thing in the morning before everyone else." Everyone calls in the morning. She couldn't believe it, but since I've worked customer service, I told her all old people with no jobs. Sorry, man, but not sorry. I have all the time in the world to complain. Don't be a statistic, lol. Good for me. I always call last minute lol. When you go out to eat, so many people have touched that lemon that you wanted in your water. And terrible things grow in ice machines and soda guns. Lots of places don't clean them often enough. Yep, I worked in a restaurant 21, and it was really the most hygienic. Soda guns cleaned every night. But you couldn't pay me to use the lemons. What's with the lemons, though? The lemons are sliced bow by God knows who in the mornings, and I had never seen anyone use gloves amongst other things. This was mid-2000s in the South USA. That's unfortunate, but I'll be avoiding lemons from now on. Thanks, mate. More stories on the channel. RedStore.